Hi, I'm Eric Royer with STEPCRAFT USA. Today I wanted to give you a brief demo of some pretty amazing software that will allow you to create custom cabinets on your CNC with literally just a couple of mouse clicks. Mozaik Software is one of the easiest and most powerful cabinet design programs on the market. It has features that let you model complete kitchens, bathrooms, and even closets, and you have the ability to customize every aspect of every cabinet. Once you lay out your design, you can view the entire project in 3D with details right down to the cabinet wood type and color, as well as the hardware. This allows you to show your customer exactly what they will be getting to give you an edge over your competition and help you land more sales. Once your customer approves your design, a couple mouse clicks is all that's needed to optimize the parts for the cabinets and lay them out with minimal waste, ready for your CNC to cut. You can then output the G-code needed to run your CNC. The CNC interface allows you to customize all parameters of the job, including loading your favorite tools and even setting up an automatic tool changer. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a simple frameless wall cabinet with double doors, and you're not going to believe how easy it is. Okay, so getting started with Mozaik is very simple. First thing we're going to do is go to File, New, and we're going to give our job a name. So let's just call this demo video. And from there, you can fill out other information if you were actually doing this for a customer. But again, I'm not going to go over every detail of the program. I'm just going to go over the basics to show you how quickly you can get a cabinet designed and out to your CNC using Mozaik software. I'll do more follow-up videos with more detail on stuff in the future, but for right now, I just want to show you how much more you can get out of your CNC machine by having software that is specifically designed and easy to use for making cabinets. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to click over to Settings. Now, in this case, this is some basic settings that we're using for this particular cabinet set that we're doing. So, you can choose the hardware you're using. You can choose the type of hinges. So these cabinets are going to use Euro frameless hinges. We're going to use wall handle pulls, knobs on there. And we're just setting up with frameless, so it's a basic frameless cabinet. So the first thing we actually need to do in the program is go to Room and draw a wall. Okay, so we're just going to draw a simple wall. Doesn't matter the length. If we want to specify the length, we certainly can. Right here, you can just change the length, the height, and the thickness of the wall. But since Mozaik is cabinet design software and cabinets are theoretically mounted on walls, the very first thing you need to do is create a wall to put your cabinets on. You'll notice there's this faded line that goes around. That's representing what like a countertop would look like on this wall. So it gives you kind of an idea of how much space you'd be using. So you could certainly use this software to design an entire kitchen. That's what it's made for, and it's very, very simple. And the 3D previews are awesome. So if you're using the software to make some cabinets for your workshop, that's certainly fine. You can do that. But if you are also looking to use the software for business or to start a cabinet business, then you'll be right at home with it in no time. So the first thing we're going to do after we got the wall created, we're going to go over to Products. And this is all of the basic library product that we have in the system. So we're going to just do a simple wall cabinet for this demo with a pair of doors. So I'm going to click on that and drag it over here. Now you can see it automatically put the cabinet on the wall. It snapped it to the wall. And I can come down here and I can change the parameters. So right now this cabinet is 30 inches wide. Let's say I want to go 32. The height is 36, but let's say I've got a custom space and I want to go 37 and a half. And then the depth is 12 inches, which is pretty standard for a wall cabinet. But again, you can customize that as well. Now, you can click on 3D Preview here, and you can see the cabinet from different views. And you can click on Filled, so you'll see. You could also click on Wire. And, this lets you see through all the parts. So you can see the adjustable shelves and the holes for the Euro pockets and the doors. once we're done with that and we set up the cabinet, the next thing we're going to do is go right over to cut list. This is going to show you each of the parts that we're going to be cutting out on the CNC. And this column here, edge band, is taken into consideration that since you're using plywood, you're most likely going to use an iron-on pre-glued edge banding, or if you have access to an edge banding machine, you're going to use edge banding to finish off the plywood ends. And this is basically telling you, for instance, the top and bottom, you're only doing one edge, but the doors, you're doing all four. So that's giving you kind of a preview of what's happening there. So this is how simple it is. That was it. We just designed a cabinet to a custom size that we needed with 2 doors and 2 adjustable shelves. Now all we need to do is create the CNC file. So we're going to click on Optimize. Now, to keep things simple, I set this up so all of the parts on this cabinet are made from 3/4 inch plywood. You can customize this any way you want. So you can use 1/2 inch for the back and 3/4 for everything else. You can use MDF. You could use 1/4 inch for the back. You could set it up any way that you want, but to keep this simple for this demo, I'm just using 3/4 inch plywood. It takes a minute or so for the optimizer to load. And once that's here, what we're going to do is we're going to double check our materials. So the job material is 3/4 inch plywood. I measured with a pair of calipers the thickness of my material, which is actually 0.74 inches. My sheet is 4 by 8 feet, so 48 by 96. It's birch plywood, so it does have grain. So you want to make sure you check that. That'll make sure all the parts are oriented so that the grain is going in the same direction. The width and length trim, this is, I guess, the border that I'm creating around the outside. So I'm going to start cutting parts 1/4 inch from the left edge and 1/4 inch from the bottom. And that's pretty much all there is for the materials. So the next thing we're going to do is just click on parts. This is very similar to the parts preview we saw right here on the previous screen, except it's giving you kind of a graphical representation of each part and what its actual size is. So like the doors are actually 15.7715. They are frameless cabinets, so the doors are typically recessed in slightly. They don't go all the way to the edge of the carcass of the cabinet. So this is just giving you an example of all the sizes that we're using for each of the parts. So the last thing we're going to do is go to Optimize. Now, I'm using our STEPCRAFT Q-408 CNC, so it's a 4 by 8 foot CNC with a vacuum table and an automatic tool changer. I have a predefined tool set that I'm using that I use for all my cabinets. So anytime that I want to do a cabinet job, I know that I'm going to load these specific tools in these locations. So to look at that, we'll go to CNC Tooling and ATC Tool Sets. And this is my STEPCRAFT tool set that we have here. So what I have in this is a 3/8 inch compression, which is being used for all my cutouts. Now, one thing that's very unique about Mozaik versus what you might be used to with Fusion 360 or Vectrix VCarve Pro or something is you do not need to assign the tool to specific vectors. The software will do it automatically. So it knows that what vectors in the cabinets are cutouts, what vectors are dados, what vectors are holes, and it'll assign the tool based on how you set up this library. So in this case, a 3/8 inch compression is what I'm using, and that's going to be used on all the cutouts. I've got a 3/8 inch down shear and a 1/4 inch down shear, which are used for all dados. Now the reason I have two is sometimes I have dado pockets that are to fit 3/4 inch panels so they interlock. So those would be 0.74 inches wide. So Mozaik will optimize your tool paths and use the largest tool possible that'll fit in a given vector space. So in this case, it would use for a 3/4 inch pocket, it's going to use the 3/8 inch down shear. However, if I had a dado that was smaller than 3/8 of an inch, it'll automatically revert to the 1/4 inch down shear. So the software does all of that on its own. All you have to do is make sure that you've checked, use the down shear for dados, and you're done. Same thing here for cutout. Now I've got 2 drills. Now all of my tools are from Amana Tools, and I'm using two drills. They have brad point drill bits. There's a 5mm and a 3mm. Now the 5mm is the standard drill bit size for all adjustable shelf pegs. Those are always 5mm for the most part. And 3mm is what I'm using for all the screw holes for the hinges. So as long as I check drill for both of those, Mozaik knows that if the hole is supposed to be for adjustable shelves, it's going to use tool number 4 and the 5mm drill. And if the holes are for screws, it's going to use tool number 5 with the 3mm drill. So that's a quick overview of how the tools are set up. This is how I would have my tool rack set up. I'd put these all in there, and then I just simply click OK. Now, as far as the cam, very simple. Just from optimization quality, you've got 4 different settings. I usually start with the better setting, and I'm just going to click Optimize. Now, it's going to automatically take those panels, and it's going to lay them out on sheets of material. So you can see I'm using a full sheet, and then I'm using maybe a third of another. So I want to see if I can get a better optimization of how these parts would lay out, because this is kind of weird that you've got a scrap that's going to be in this shape right here. So if we go back to Optimize, we can go to, for instance, Fast, and you can see it changed the layout a little bit. I'm not sure I like that any better. We could try Good and see what that does. Again, very similar to the other one. Let's just try Best. Sometimes it makes a difference, sometimes it doesn't. So in this case, I actually like the Best better because I'll end up with a more manageable piece of scrap here rather than this weird backward C shape that I was getting before. So what we're going to do now is we have to look at all the parts that are green. That means that there's a milling operation that's on the bottom side of the sheet. And most cabinet work you're going to do is just going to be a one-sided machining operation, so you don't want to have to flip the sheet over. So what we're going to do is just click Flip Parts, and it's going to take those parts and it's going to flip them over and they'll turn white. For some reason on the doors it wasn't flipping those, so I'm doing each one independently. And they don't turn white, and I'm really not sure why, but if I look at the 3D preview for this, I can see when I zoom in that the pockets are actually on the right side for the doors. So it's doing the job right, it just doesn't show it in white for some reason. So these are my, my doors. Now the other thing that we want to do here is I like to, when I edit a sheet, I like to do something with the remnant piece. So what you can do here is if you click on this blank space, we're going to select Cut Remnant, okay, and click OK. So what's going to happen is when you put the sheet down, it's going to cut all of these panels out. It's going to drill all the holes, do all the pockets and everything. And then it's also going to cut out this blank piece of material here. So otherwise I end up with this weird carcass of uncut pieces on this 4x8 sheet, and then I'm going to have to take a saw and try to salvage this. So I just let the software salvage this piece for me, and then I can use it for something else later on. Going to do the same thing on the second sheet. What I'm going to do here is I want this big piece cut out so it's 4 feet by whatever's left. So I'm going to click that and do Cut Remnant. And then I want this smaller piece, so I'm just going to do Cut Remnant. So when I put this sheet on, it's going to cut the back of the cabinet, and then it's going to give me 2 additional pieces that I can then use for future projects. Okay, and so that's really it. That's what this is what I'm cutting, 2 sheets of plywood. And I'm going to click Generate G-Code. It's going to, I want all sheets in 3/4 inch plywood. And I'll click OK. And that's it. My 2 G-Code files are now all set. And I can take those files over to the CNC. I can load each part in, or each sheet in, and then start cutting parts. And when I'm done, I can assemble the cabinet based on, you know, what goes where. Everything is going to have blind dados. So these cabinets here, let's see if I can show it a little bit better. let's see. So you can see right here, I've got blind dados on the sides. So the back panel is going to have a male dado that's going to fit into the female, so it's going to interlock. And then the top and bottom have male dados on them that fit into the sides. So when you're done, this whole cabinet just goes together perfectly. In fact, if you just want to use glue and not use nails or pocket screws, you can do that. The cuts are that tight, and so if you glue it up and then clamp it, a couple hour or so later, that thing is going to be really solid. You're not going to have to worry about any nail holes or anything like that to fill after. I tend to use pocket screws when I do these cabinets, so I will put pocket screws on the top and bottom since you don't see those, and I'll put pocket screws on the back. And then I also use glue. But the cabinets I've designed are for our shop, so they've got a lot of tools in them. They're pretty heavy, and I want to make sure that, you know, they're really secure. But that's pretty much it. And then you just go out to the CNC, you put the sheet on, and you just cut the first file, switch sheets, cut the second. All your parts are done. All the holes are in place. You're just ready to glue it and assemble it, and then finish it to whatever you choose. So I hope you find this a little bit helpful. I love this software. It really makes a complicated job of designing a cabinet super simple. Yes, I could design this cabinet in Vectric VCarve Pro without a problem, but all of the dados and the hole spacing and all the tool assignments and everything, I have to do that manually. And I do not get the 3D preview, so I can't see what my cabinet is going to look like and make changes. Very easy. So in other words, if I come back here now, let's just say, I'm going to close this. I'm going to save changes to that. Now, if I come back to products and I go to this cabinet and I say, you know what, before I start cutting, I really want to make this cabinet. My space is 32 and, I don't know, 1/4 inch. So I need to make the cabinet a 1/4 inch bigger. I can do that. The cabinet changes size, 32 1/4. Now when I come back to cut list and go to optimize, I am going to overwrite with new parts. So it'll go ahead, open up the optimizer. It's going to recalculate everything. So I can go here to optimize. We'll go to best. And there we go. Our sheets are all recalculated. It doesn't look like much has changed, but the width of the cabinet is now a 1/4 inch wider. So the top and bottom and the back and the doors would have all automatically been resized to make that new overall size. And then I would do the same thing. I can come in here and I can assign the remnants, and then I'll put my G-code and go to the machine. So that's it. I hope you find this useful, and I will be doing some more Mozaik videos in the near future that will have more detail in them. But in the meantime, this will at least give you an idea how quick and easy it is to use this software, which is very inexpensive, to make some quick cabinets.
It's